Hi everyone, and welcome to Pro Tools Answers, where three Pro Tools experts demonstrate and elaborate on your Pro Tools questions put to the community in Avid's official Facebook support forum. But not today, because it's New Year's Eve, everyone, and we want to just have a chat. Because we've had a terrific year, haven't we, guys?
We have.
Well,
yeah.
We started amazing. In 2020, and then we went through 2021. 2020, saying that 2022 was the best of those years, it's a fairly easy bar to overcome. Those were crappy years. But no, it was great. It was a great year. It really was.
Do you know, I've got to do my New Year's Eve message. I usually do a thing just to kind of wrap up the year on my Facebook feeds, and I've got a lot to talk about this year. For me, it's been a terrific year. There's been some losses. You know, we've lost my wife's mum, which you know, and she was an animal, proper animal. She was great, but you know, I think that's largely the only thing that to mar the year for me. And somebody else is going to pop up and go, "Well, this happened, Dave," and then I'm going to feel awful about it. But it's, you know, largely from a business sense, from a worky sense, it's been a fantastic year, and next year's looking even better, so I can't wait to get to the end of next year to talk about this one. But what about you two? It's been a dynamic year.
Well, I got done with writing two, I think, fairly decent courses, the new Pro Tools 101 and the new Pro Tools 110 course. The 101
they're amazing.
The 101 is able to be purchased publicly. The 110 is for our Avid Learning partners only, but they came out pretty well, and there was a lot of work, and that got done. So this was a great year for me as far as getting that off my plate. Yeah,
the feedback from the ACI community, I haven't got into them yet. I'm going to be getting into them first year of February, I think, preparing for the first of Anders Tonquaf work. 101 and 110 courses, so I'm looking forward to that. But the feedback has been fantastic, and they seem to be a lot better laid out than the previous ones. So excellent work, sir.
Thank you. And again, that was my year. Anders.
Yeah, it's been a great year.
Did you do anything?
I've been so busy. I've been teaching a lot of Avid courses, of course, as the learning partner. Doing Pro Tools Answers has been amazing. I've met Dave in person twice. And he was visiting in Austria twice, which has been a lot of fun. Been working as a master instructor for Avid, and it's just been a great year. I've had so much fun.
We were indeed visiting Austria's first family.
Austria's first family, nice.
So how has the year panned out for Pro Tools, Andy? It's been a really good year for the app, I think.
It you know what? It's always weird to look back over any span of time and see, you know, how far has Pro Tools come, because one of the things that you can't say about Avid that they just sit on their hands and don't do anything. I mean, it used to be before.
Lots of people do, but they're wrong.
Oh yeah, doesn't stop people from saying that we sit on our hands, but we certainly we evidently don't. But you know, back in the day when you would buy a disc, right, and you had major releases, we had a major release maybe once a year, and we had to we put like 2 or 3 big features in there, and that was the release, and you bought the disc, right? Once we've gotten to the subscription way of working, more than anything else, now it's as soon as a feature is ready to go and it's been tested, boom, it gets released. How many releases? And it's not quite New Year's today, as we film this, and I say that with a huge asterisk hanging over my head. How many releases of Pro Tools do you think there's been this year without looking it up?
I can only think of 3, I think, in the last few months. This year's been a complete blur to me. I can't even remember what I was doing yesterday, Andy.
6.
Yeah, 6 releases.
6 releases. And among those, and just to kind of get everybody nostalgic about where we came from, the whole Pro Tools tiers thing, Pro Tools Ultimate, Pro Tools Studio, Pro Tools Artist, and now of course Pro Tools Intro. That only started last April, so it hasn't even been a year yet, and all that's happening. Custom shortcuts. color spaces for the video side. Dolby Atmos has gotten better and better. Let's see. What else here? In the summer, we came up with ADM. Go ahead.
And the ARA, or what's it called? The ARA?
Oh yes, the
ARA came in September, which is the whole the Melodyne workflow, which I'm using all the time now. But basically, all of that stuff happened as soon as it was ready to be released. It's it's pretty ridiculously tested, in the beta stage, and we're just about now to be ready to release if we release it this year, the 7th version, which is going to be a beta version that is compatible with Ventura and Silicon Native, and this has already been announced. So this is something we can talk about, but that's going to be released. And
Aux.io, let's not forget Aux.io.
Aux.io, completely.
I think that's
it's one of my favorite features.
Quantized controls on the toolbar.
Yeah, fantastic. But in reality, Aux.io, I think that has the most impact for a lot of users that are working.
Of folks, there's just tons and tons.
Yeah.
And so there may be a 7th version coming out if things go as planned, and that's going to be Ventura. Native Silicon compatibility, and that's the interesting thing about that is that's going to be a public beta. So there's going to be a beta program released out, and it's already been discussed. It's already kind of common knowledge, so we can speak about it. And once that beta comes out, people over a very large area will be testing it, and that's going to be. It's going to either be, depending upon the timing, at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year, however you count it.
So, because this was announced at the beginning of December, and
it was announced some time ago.
Yeah, I didn't know that it wasn't available immediately. I thought it was this is available. Go and grab it. Go and play with it. I didn't know it was a coming thing.
Not yet.
Okay.
It's still in we're still working out. We're getting it ready for a public beta because you can't have a normal beta is not public worthy, because there's a lot of stuff that we hunt down and fix, and new things come up, and it's like, how did we not see that, and then we go fix that, and usually that causes another problem that we have to, it's like whack-a-mole, right? But we're going to be battening it down fairly tight so that people can really, on a broad scale, test how it works and how things are improving in terms of processing when you go over to using a Silicon natively instead of through Rosetta.
Yeah,
exciting times.
Personally, I don't have an Apple Silicon yet, but I'm really excited about that it's coming out, and I think that will have a huge impact for a lot of people out there. Yeah, so 6 releases, possibly 7 by the time we air this.
By the time we air this, it's possible 7.
That's an important thing for people to remember, because there's always lots of comments on the forum about not getting enough updates and where are my updates. I think we started the year with that, all of that crap. We're paying for this year thing. Where are all of our updates? Well, there's 6, potentially 7.
It's funny as somebody who works from Apple, we get it all from all sides, right? And so this is the way that a feature is released. Is I can't believe that Pro Tools doesn't have this, and we add this, and then of course there's a billion people going, finally, right? It's like finally, it's like this app, this other app had it way back then, whatever.
But people tend to forget all of those. Like, where were the final words when they released the Aux.io?
Right.
Like, that's innovative. That's innovation.
And then after that, people come in and they go, "You're releasing changes too quickly." I kid you not. It's like, why don't you release this finally, and then stop doing this, right?
But also,
you can't win.
I think you mentioned something in the beginning, is that we get new features, and it seems to us that they've been in there forever. Once they've been there for a couple of months, at least for me, I get so used to the new features that I like, what? This has only been in Pro Tools for like 6 months, and so we tend to get used to them really, really quick. Yeah.
This is why the competition in the market is so good for us. You know, and it's a really, I think it's a really packed market. There are a lot of doors out there, which, you know, from a business sense, is difficult for any of the door manufacturers because there's, you know, so many of them trying to vie for everyone's business. But the fact that each of them are trying to shove new features into their apps to make their app unique and to attract users to it means that all of the others can observe what actually would work for their specific platform and their specific users and listen to what the users are asking for. And Andy, you said a couple of weeks ago that the Avid are listening to what features are being asked for by the majority of users, or what would benefit the most users. You know, so
absolutely.
Observing all of that stuff and our community asking Avid for it, the more to ask, they'll cherry pick the good stuff, and all of the app developers will cherry pick the best stuff. But saying that, the one thing that hasn't been cherry picked from Pro Tools, which I'm really surprised about, is Beat Detective.
Well, I mean, there's Beat Detective-ish things in other DAWs, and I'll, you know, and this is me maybe showing my purple colors, is that Beat Detective came out. This is way back. Beat Detective came out right about the same time, or shortly thereafter, after Tab to Transient came out. So the algorithm that detects our transients is the code upon which Beat Detective was built. And the fact that you know who doesn't complain about Beat Detective or about Tab to Transient? Everybody. Nobody complains about Tab to Transient. It just works. It does what you want it to do. I don't think I've ever had it mismark a transient.
Well, it happens.
I think there was one feature where it was missing the first one in a clip for a while.
It'll skip ones that I think are supposed to be transients, but my ears say are transients, but they're not. And I wish there was a way I could maybe jack up the sensitivity of it, maybe, right? But it never gets it completely wrong, right?
No, it's an amazing function.
It's especially considering how old that code is.
Yeah.
It's amazingly well designed. And then with Beat Detective, you actually do have a sensitivity slider, so you can actually have that control that you don't have with Tab to Transients, but that you do have that sensitivity control with Beat Detective, which makes it even better. Yeah. And it's, you know, unless you do it wrong, and Beat Detective is easy to do wrong, but unless you do it wrong, Beat Detective can do some amazing things that, you know, people still build their careers. Yeah. On how well they use Beat Detective. Even now, they're the Beat Detective guys, and they just go and they fix stuff, you know, go from studio to studio and song to song, and they still use it, and it's such an old feature.
That's funny how there's a micro industry that exists within a micro industry.
Yeah, completely.
How weird is that?
Not worldwide, but in certain regions, there's guys that specialize on certain kinds of features and workflows. Yeah.
How interesting. Yeah, I think we're very lucky with our DAW. For all of the people that complain about it, you know, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Anders and Andy, you guys very rarely experience any problems with Pro Tools. You know, it's you use it and it largely works the way that you expect it to, because I do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It largely works. I mean, every software has bugs.
Yeah, it's not a broad statement that says it's infallible.
Like, there are certain things that are very misunderstood about about Pro Tools. Like one of the things that keep coming back, and you can read it in every forum, and it's like I've mentioned this in so many shows. It's like the delay compensation engine in Pro Tools is broken. That's something that you read all of the time, and of course that's just utter nonsense.
And you look at the screenshot, and there's 10 instances of Ozone 10.
Yeah, and this is actually something that, I mean, there are so many people that are complaining about the software that are actually haven't experienced those issues themselves, but they've read it in some forum and stuff. Yeah. And I get this all the time in my courses, that someone will say something that I know that I've read in some forum, and I ask them to explain what they mean, and they basically can't.
They have no idea.
It's like the myth, Pro Tools sucks for MIDI. That's something that people always say.
So
But it's not true.
I saw one of those, and on the features request lounge on AvidLink, why does Pro Tools still suck for MIDI, and then you delve a little deeper into the conversation, and all they want is a sampler. That's the only difference between the DAW that works for them and the DAW that doesn't, and it's just some kind of software instrument that connects the MIDI with sound, and it completely bewilders me. Another one on that, I saw this yesterday, was someone complaining about an Akai MPC keyboard that wasn't connecting correctly to Pro Tools, and the end of it ended. The end of the post ended with, "Why does Pro Tools still continue having connection problems with these controllers?" I'm like, it doesn't. So I picked up a bunch of new stuff over the last few weeks. Picked up a couple of Studio Logic controllers, which are amazing, by the way. The SL series, amazing controllers. And I'd set them up in a specific way to work with my main stage DAW using the MIDI merge. Right, so they're outputting in a specific way and combining in a specific way. But I plugged it into Pro Tools for the first time, hit the record key, and nothing's going through. And what was the first thing on my mind? Oh, I must have screwed up the output on the keyboards. And that's exactly what I did. I had the outputs outputting to the MIDI outputs rather than the USB. So just go into the keyboard, switch it to USB, select a specific MIDI channel, do the same thing on Pro Tools, and we're off. It's so it brings me back to so many of the things that we read about. It's just all about understanding the DAW and understanding the technology that we're using, because it's really complicated.
And I think part of the reason why Pro Tools doesn't look as attractive in comparison with some other DAWs is because other DAWs are so specific that a lot of the things that can cause problems have been simplified and made more automated. And I used this analogy at a class a couple of years ago. It's like a goldfish will grow according to the size of the bowl that they're in. Right, so their growth potential matches their environment. You put them in a small bowl, they stay small. You put them in a bigger bowl, they'll get bigger. And if you, depending upon what DAW you use, that will also affect how large you can grow. Now, one of the things that you can't say about Pro Tools is that it's easy. It's not. It never. It's not designed to be. Nobody ever said it was. But you can write a beat for a rap song and the soundtrack to Star Wars in the same product. And as far as goldfish bowls, it's as big as the ocean. And the one thing that is if you're willing to put in the work, Pro Tools will not hold you back. It won't. You can do anything you need to do in there, and you know that you can because people do. And maybe if there's a New Year's message that I give to folks and give to ourselves, frankly, is never lose sight of the fact that though it's not easy, it'll take you wherever you need to go.
It's
well
not
spoken.
It's not designed.
That was the perfect wrap up.
Well, okay, we'll leave that there. Then I don't need to say anything else. Thank you very much, you guys. It's been a fantastic year. Have a happy new year. Have a safe new year. Don't drink too much, Andy.
Me?
Sorry, I meant Anders. Anders, don't drink too much.
There you go.
We will look forward to seeing you guys on the other side. Thank you for following the channel and liking the videos and subscribing to us and watching us. And thank you so much to our Inner Circle members as well. It's been a genuine pleasure, as always, to have you in our classes and in our community, in our Discord community and stuff. I'm really looking forward to what we can do with that community next year. I've got some ideas in mind. Got a few little hurdles to get over on this side before I can jump into anything like that. But yes, we will see you guys on the other side. Have a very, very happy new year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Take it easy.